one thing I've been doing more of lately, and I've mentioned this a few of my weekly 50s, is intentionally revisiting earlier images. And recently I revisited a photo that I took over 10 years ago. This one is kind of revisiting a photo that I took just a few months ago. Back in October, I had a picture of a water droplet right at the intersection of three leaves, and very similar to what you see here, except, and it was fine, but the photo just didn't work out quite how I had hoped. It was too busy. There was too much going on in it. And I wanted to kind of rethink that, and that's what you see here. And I'm really happy with this. And it's not that I'm not happy with the original. I just like to think about, take a self-reflective look at my photography and think, well, what did I learn from this? And how can I apply this differently in the future? And that's what I've done here. In the original, there was not much of a sense of foreground, background, of dimensionality. And again, it was fine, but I wanted to see if I could do a little bit more of that. Here, there's one clear subject, and that was exactly as planned. It's obviously these two leaves with the two big water drops on them, and hopefully your eye is drawn to the one on the left. That's that bright drop of water. But what I did here that I think worked out really well is I created a sense of background, and you can see all the leaves and the green and reds blurring out in the background to indicate that there's a sense of depth. How deep? It doesn't really matter. Is it inches? Is it feet? It doesn't, who knows? But there's clearly something going on in the frame behind what you see here. But also what I did, which was intentional, is add a foreground element. It's kind of subtle, but it's there. Do you notice that kind of blurry splotch on the right-hand side? It's almost like I don't know, it's like a point, like coming in from the top, sweeping in down at the left, and then back to the right a little bit. That is a leaf that I moved myself around so that there was this leaf in the foreground, and it actually obscures part of the subject just a little bit. And it's a subtle thing, but it's a purposeful thing. I wanted to use something in the foreground, even if it was not super obvious. I wanted there to have this sense of foreground, subject, and background in a way that didn't exist at all in the original. And I'm really happy with how it turned out because it's such a subtle thing. And I'm not much I'm usually not one for subtlety in my weekly 50 photos. No one's going to read a whole lot into any of the images I take, and that's fine. But what I do like to do is see if there's ever an opportunity to add something extra every now and then. And that's what I was able to do here. It's not necessarily, I like the subject. I like the composition. It's decently sharp. The colors are nice. But for me, my favorite part is that leaf on the right that is in the foreground, but blurred out because of the depth of field that I've got going on here. I shot this at f8, and therefore the leaf in the foreground was blurry and the leaves in the background are blurry. And it's just this cool extra little thing that I was able to add that I don't often do in my photos. So it was just fun to be able to do this.